What is spiritual death? This term first came up during a conversation between Sunday and Sparkle, specifically in relation to the fate of those attacked by the death meme from the memory zone, and it becomes a point of interest because Firefly's fate depends on it. After looking into the side missions in Penacony, reading books and notes all over the planet, and rewatching the movie Inception, I think I have an answer to that, as well as a working theory that Firefly might be alive still, and we will rescue her in a future patch. We will go over the definition of death in Penacony, how spiritual death is different than the normal one, where exactly Firefly is at the moment, and how we are going to save her. Without further ado, let's get to it. To understand the meaning behind spiritual death, first we need to define what a normal death in the dreamscape is and what it would do to the person who experiences it. Playing through the main mission, we have experienced it firsthand when Acheron woke Trailblazer up by killing them in the dreamscape. Then in Masquerade Duet, a Sparkle and Black Swan companion mission, it is mentioned by a guard from the Bloodhound family that in a dream, even if you're bashed 1,000 times with a hammer, at worst you'll still wake up in reality in a hotel. Shamari, someone who was allegedly attacked and murdered by Sparkle, collapsed in the dream, died, and then woke up in his hotel room. Similarly, in Goodness is Rare, an adventure mission featuring a monarch who ran away from her crimes, the people who were trying to capture her said that killing her in the dream was not like a real death. It would simply give the monarch a jolt that would wake her up from the dream. This concept is similar to what applies in Inception. When somebody kills you in a dream, you wake up. In short, there's no real danger to dying in a dream in Penacony. So it was a bit weird that everyone, Trailblazer, Black Swan, Sunday, and Sparkle, acted like both Firefly and Robin died for real. Sunday even specifically called it a spiritual death, instead of saying that the death meme attacked guests, causing them to wake up in reality. There is a sense of finality to the way he said it. And that brings us back to Inception. If you're not familiar with the movie, the main idea of the plot is that there's this group of people whose goal is to plant the seed of an idea in someone's subconscious. To achieve that, they need to go into the target's mind deeper than they usually would in any other missions, and to have themselves heavily sedated. And here's where the rule of dreaming doesn't apply, because they're heavily sedated. When they're killed in the dream, they will not wake up. Instead, they will fall into limbo. And once they do, they can be trapped in there for years, even decades. The reason I'm bringing this up is first, Penacony is literally shaped like the spinning top that DiCaprio's character carries around for reality check purposes, and the Dev referenced this movie a lot when they were talking about the concept of dreams during one of their videos. Second, they define limbo as the raw and infinite subconscious, which can be entered by traveling deeper through the dream levels. So where there is reality at the top level, below it there are many layers of a dream, and then there is limbo. Compared to Penacony, according to Acheron, Dreamscape is the border between reality and the memory zone. The Dreamscape consists of 12 different hours, and the memory zone is the lowest level of Penacony, the real Penacony, according to Sparkle. Plus, the monsters that we encounter in the memory zone are said to be the manifestations of raw emotions of subconscious depth. In short, Inception's reality equals Penacony reality. The many layers of dreams in Inception are Penacony's dreamscapes, and Inception's limbo is the memory zone. With this in mind, we can theorize that when somebody is attacked by the death meme, experiencing a spiritual death, it's the Penacony's equivalent to Inception's falling into limbo. The person's real body is intact in reality, but their mind is trapped in the memory zone. This is why I believe Firefly is still alive. She was attacked by the death meme and is now trapped somewhere, unable to escape by herself. And yes, by extension, Robin is still alive too. I think there's some confusion in regards to her death because unlike Firefly, who immediately turned into water, Robin's body stayed there in the pool and only started to turn to bubbles after Trailblazer saw it, almost as if it was timed perfectly. But that could be a topic for a different day. Question is, where is Firefly? Where did the death meme bring her to? Well, I think it's somewhere we've been to before. Remember the room with the many TVs that we kept circling back to in a loop before the death meme emerged from one of those TVs and attacked us? I think she's in there. Not in the room specifically, but inside the TVs. Yeah, Firefly is inside the TVs. Here's my rationale. At Dream's age, there's this NPC named Colleen who would commission us to retrieve some package hidden in a trash can at Ideen Park. It's an encrypted message that would be decrypted by Colleen towards the end of the mission, containing a list of Penacony guests who were attacked by an unknown meme from the memory zone. The note says that these people were abducted, but there's no further mention as to what happened afterwards, whether the victims were rescued or found dead or whatever, nothing. Although it does mention that everyone who was present at the scenes who witnessed the attack had undergone the memory erasure procedure, i.e. the family ensured that all witnesses could recall nothing of the incident. Whoever said the family is not suspicious, am I right? Anyhow, tying this information to what Sunday said to Sparkle at the end of the Trailblaze mission, I believe these attacks on the guests are what Sunday was referring to, and the nightmare called death is the unknown meme mentioned in the note. And no, I don't think Sunday was only referring to the attack and murder of Firefly and Robin here, because then Sparkle asked, was somebody killed again? Meaning there have been other attacks before. Firefly and Robin was not the first. And the abduction mentioned in the note is the spiritual death Sunday was talking about. Now back to the TVs in a child's dream, we could hear voices coming out from those TVs, right? Voices asking for help. So what if those are the voices of all the victims that have been abducted by the death meme? The death meme resides inside the TVs. The TVs are its lair. It would make sense that it would bring its victims back in there. And because the victims are still alive, trapped inside the TVs, that's why we could hear their voices. That's where Firefly is right now. So now, how do we save her? The answer to that is also something that we've encountered before. In fact, we're traveling with it now. Or perhaps, I should say, her.
If you don't know the right technique, you might never return from the shadow of death.
In my previous video about Acheron, I mentioned that Black Swan could have also saved Firefly, but she also didn't. And rather than it's because she was able to easily subdue the death meme by herself, it has everything to do with what she said about knowing the right technique. She knows the right technique to overpower the death meme, and that was how she was able to rescue us and Firefly and bring us back from the shadow of death, literally, from the shadow of the death meme. Plus, she's a memo keeper, and the death meme is a monster from the memory zone. That's probably why she's seen defeating the monster in her trailer video. And saving Firefly is not a matter of how, but instead a matter of when. Perhaps now Firefly serves no purpose in Black Swan's plan. Or worse, she is serving a greater purpose by being dead, because that sure would motivate MC to uncover the truth, right? And only when she needs Firefly alive that Black Swan would save her. Although I do wish sometime in a story, our Trailblazer would figure out the scheme, deviate from it, and rescue Firefly on their own, instead of being tossed around, pushed left and right by all these other characters and letting the plot happen to them along the way. Well, that is all from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.